afternoon and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Braith. Every Sunday we'll have the lads from around the world, so it's a big shout out to Andre, Spenny Mag, Martin, Chris, Al Walid, Nathan and Chris Hall today. So good to see you all, lads, and nursing a few hangovers I bet after yesterday, and I'm going to come to the lads who weren't on yesterday's live broadcast, and I just want to say thanks to everybody for the kind words about that. A lot of positive feedback about that, and it was the most watched video of the week, which is always it's always something I keep an eye on, obviously, when we're trying to keep people entertained at home. And yeah, over 7,000 people watched our broadcast yesterday, lads, so it's something we should be really proud of. And people enjoyed it. People switching their radios off and listening to us talking through the game, I still find it hard to believe, but yeah, people really enjoyed it. So obviously I don't think there's live coverage of the Tuesday night game, but we might give it another spin next weekend if the lads are all up for it and they're all sitting in the house. We might as well do it again. So next week will be great. And just a big shout out to the members as well who joined overnight. Big thanks to Martin Nesbitt, Jimmy Beck and Barry Hogan, who've all put a little bit of cash into the pot. And we've also managed to attract a sponsor, which is nice. And the guys at Q-Tech have come on board alongside my friend John, who does the flyers for me at Jab. Obviously Media Arts, they do some of the technical stuff for me. Cross paths, just, you know, I'm an ambassador for them anyway. They send us some tops. But Q-Tech Shop, they make snooker tables and pool tables in Wallsend in Newcastle. They have jumped on board as well to help us out. So it's a big shout out to them. They'll be coming on board as of tomorrow. But big thanks to John Justice Allen for that, because he's a big fan of the show, and he just said he'd like to see it continue. So he's decided to chip in a little bit for us, which is very nice. Thank you very much. So lads, I'm going to start with Andre, because you weren't with us yesterday, unfortunately. You were out with your mates, basically watching the game. And just want to know your thoughts on the game, Andre. How did you think the team played?
Well, I wouldn't say anything new in this aspect. It was a great start to the season, a bit unexpected, honestly. Although I was optimistic, but I was optimistic to an extent that Newcastle will not lose. But it was so convincing, such convincing display, and all the new signings performed so well. And it was really, we're buzzing today. And this is the funny thing that, none of us had big expectations, and we were all very downbeat like 1 week ago. Then couple of transfers, and suddenly today, people talk about Newcastle repeating Leicester and what does the season hold. I was very, very impressed by Callum Wilson to start with. Very, very strong game by him. Jeff Hendrick, very solid. I kind of expected this from him, but he also chipped in with a goal and an assist. Jamal Lewis, as I said in the previous broadcast, I didn't watch him much, but reading all the reports on him and what clubs were after him, and he's so athletic and he's so young and he has such potential. Honestly, I'm very, very optimistic about the guy. I think he can have a great career. Overall, only positives. I was surprised also by the starting 11 by Bruce, because he went on with Carroll and Wilson up front. In the week before the game, I had these thoughts that if Joelinton is ever going to make it in Newcastle, it might be a blessing in disguise for him that Wilson was signed, because I could imagine Joelinton somehow, in my wildest dreams, somehow pairing effectively with Wilson. And Bruce tried something in this direction by pairing Carroll with Wilson, and I think it worked. I think the two of them were a threat, and West Ham couldn't handle them for 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fascinating to see for me that new players just coming in and just getting on with it. It was just, they hadn't had a game to play, Andre, and I think that was the amazing thing. The likes of Lewis and Wilson, hadn't had time to bed in really, and they hit the ground running.
Absolutely, yeah. And 9 years Newcastle hasn't won their first away game, and it's 8 years since Newcastle won their first game of the season. So it was also a bit historic. Finally we broke that hoodoo.
Man of the match for you yesterday, Andre?
It has to be because of his contribution. I think it has to be Jeff Hendrick, but also Callum Wilson is a good shout, and several players had a very, very solid game. Manquillo kept Manquillo for 1 year. I was very unhappy with Manquillo, probably like all of you, for his first couple of years in Newcastle, and we were all wondering why he's at the club. And suddenly, for the past 12 months, the guy is reborn. and he was pretty solid defensively, very good positioning. He cleaned a lot of balls. So I would say Hendrik, but really kudos to the whole team. They really played like a strong team yesterday.
Yeah, Chris Hall, back to you now, mate, because you weren't, again, you were the only other person who wasn't on last night. From your perspective, how do you think, Newcastle played? You enjoyed the game? Were you happy with the way that Steve Bruce set up?
Yeah, do you know what? I was a bit surprised. The lineup threw me a little bit. I was trying to second guess how he was lining up. I didn't know if it was going to be 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, or I couldn't quite work it out. And then obviously it was quite obvious from the start that he was playing, Cavill and Gale up front. Not Gale, sorry. Cavill and Wilson up front.
Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, so really, really happy with it. Yeah, I thought everyone played really well. My man of the match personally would be Wilson. Purely because that's why I was thinking about Gale. He's such an upgrade, even just from that one game. You can see it. He's running the channels. He's constantly putting pressure on the defence. Even a couple of his half chances, his little snapshots, I thought they were really good. Considering it was his first game, he's linking up really well with the team. Going on to Jamal Lewis, I thought he was excellent, up and down. Looks like we've bought a real player there, full of energy. It's nice to see that he is positionally aware, so he's coming back and defending appropriately, but at the same time he's getting forwards. He put in a couple of lovely crosses for Wilson, so I thought that was really good. Jeff Hendrick. Now, I thought Jeff Hendrick had a good game. First half, I must admit, I was a little bit worried. A few misplaced passes. I was a bit concerned, and he struck me as a little bit of a Hayden, where I think defensively he's going to be solid going forward. I don't think he's going to offer much. And then obviously second half he goes and hits that absolute worldie of a shot. So really, really good. The only thing I'd say is I hope people's expectations don't go through the roof on Jeff Hendrick. I think personally that was a good, solid performance, and I think he's obviously capped it off with an assist and a goal. But I wouldn't be expecting that every week. I think we were quite fortunate with what happened with Jeff Hendrick. But yeah, all round, solid performance. I thought West Ham were there for the taking. I think I said last week I was thinking 0-0, maybe nicking it 1-0. But in the end, it was really comfortable. And I think West Ham are going to have real problems. I don't know if any of you've seen West Ham's next 6 fixtures. It's not looking good for them at all. And I think, again, relating to what I said last week, yesterday was really promising for me, from our point of view, but also I do think there's going to be 4, 5, possibly 6 teams below us who are going to be worse. So really, it felt really positive after yesterday, and yeah, really enjoyed the game. Yeah,
it did. Our man of the match vote, which was on our Facebook page, if you just search NUFC Matters and give it a follow, was comprehensively won by Hendrick. With 104 votes. Carroll came in second with 26, and Wilson came in third with 11. But yeah, Hendrick was the man of the match. And Martin, if memory serves me correctly, was that your pick?
It was, mate. Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
that wasn't just for the Irish connection. That was purely based on football.
purely biased. But yeah, he had a great game. And I watched it back again on Match of the Day last night. I watched it again this morning when I was at the gym. And it just got better and better, didn't it? The link-up play, but the solid play. And I think we mentioned it when we were doing the live last night that, he was getting stuck in. He was doing a lot of the work off the ball. Yeah. And, obviously came up not only with an assist for Wilson's goal, but obviously a fantastic strike to seal all 3 points.
Yeah, I think, look, he's what I'd call a steady Eddie. You know what you're going to get with him. He's the same when he plays for the Republic. He's not going to be, a world beater every second game. But what you are going to get is you're going to get graft and you're going to get hard work. So I think alongside, Hayden, I think it gives us, I said it last night, gives us a bit more strength, I think, whereas Shelvey can be in and out of the game. I think Hendrick will be a steady influence, maybe 70, 80 minutes of that. Okay, he's maybe not going to be switched on for the 90, but if he gets us another 4 or 5 assists and gets us 5 or 6 goals over the season, again, it's more than we had last season. So I thought he was a good man of the match. I thought him, again, we said last night, I thought him and Manquillo worked really well together. I think Manquillo needs somebody like a Hendrick in front of him to give him that little bit of support. That they overlapped well. We overlapped well on the left as well with Lewis. I thought it was a great game. I thought we gave West Ham nothing, and a few tweets this morning which I think make absolute sense. How is Declan Rice in England ahead of Hayden? For me, just doesn't make sense. But yeah, pleased. I think similar to Chris, there isn't going to be many teams. I think that there's definitely going to be worse than us there. If we can keep the fitness, keep the same energy, and we can manage the injuries, then I think we'll do good.
Yeah, me too, Nathan. It was one of those situations where we all said before the game it was probably a good time to play West Ham. I've got to be honest. Sometimes it gets to me when you see people saying, "Well, West Ham are a poor team, and you should be beating teams like that." But first game of the season, I think Andre's just mentioned the stat. First time in a long time Newcastle have won on the opening day of the season. Plus, they've done it away. At West Ham, which I don't think has really been a happy hunting ground in the past. From our perspective, it was a great 3 points and a great way to kickstart the season.
It was, yeah, and it was really pleasing to see the lads settle into the game really well. Like some of the games last season, we didn't seem to settle. We didn't seem to get the ball down. Didn't seem to be able to get it moving around. But they started so well yesterday. We were on the front foot, and it's a long time since I've seen us, really be going for the jugular like that. Really, I thought we were really assured in possession. The link-up play down the left-hand side with Lewis and St. Max and then was with Wilson drifting over to that left-hand side was fantastic to see. They've had no game time together at all. They got a lot of joy really early on down that side, and it was great to see. I thought Hendrick slotted into the team really well. A lot of being from Burnley, and most of my friends are Burnley fans. You'll see people on Twitter saying, I saw someone on Twitter yesterday saying Newcastle fans are about to realise how average Jeff Hendrick is. But, if you speak to anyone who knows what they're talking about around here, who watches the team, they'll all miss him, and they all do miss him. So I think, as Martin said, he's a really, really consistent player. He's going to be a 7 out of 10 every week for you in that team. So we need players like that when we've got quite a few players who are either all or nothing, aren't they, most weeks? So yeah, that consistency will go a long way in our team. I was really impressed with Jamal Lewis as well. I thought some of his deliveries were fantastic as well. Like Andre said about Manquillo, I thought he did really well. He was one of the, when I was sort of picking my prospective team for the game, that was like one of the positions where I didn't really want to put him in the team, but there's no one else. But I thought he did quite well yesterday. I thought he did really well. That where he got half a yard for that cross, even though the cross was kind of deflected for that first goal, he showed really good running, getting half a yard on his man and trying to whip it in. And he did that a few times throughout the game. So yeah, all in all, really, really pleased. Really assured performance. A couple of little shakes at the back, but it's first game. So I think the more the lads play together, the better it'll look. Yeah.
Good really stuff. Al-Walid, Life Goals is first, before I come to you about the game, is saying you played right back in the past. What level did you play at?
Just local, but it was a left back, not the right back.
It was left back, okay.
Yeah, so just local games, nothing professional.
Were you a bit of a Were you a bit of a Lewis, or were you more of a Paul Dummett?
No, I was really very good that time.
All right, okay.
Anyway,
what was your take on the game live from Starbucks last night?
Okay. Actually, I believe Mr. Steve Bruce was play for the whole 90 minutes. Wasn't in rush to win the game, to get ahead. We didn't expect Shelby, Hayden, and Hendrick to play all together. That was for me a surprise, because most I remember reading before the game expectation from the fans. They said, who will gonna be in the bench? Nobody think that they all will play together. Hendrick actually, even the most optimistic one didn't expect that he will make one goal and another assist. Great start in first official game. Good indulge with the rest of the team. He looked like he play with Jamal Lewis, play for a long time with Newcastle. I remember a statement from Hendricks. He said, I came to St. James Park, I blame sometimes before. I think he really wanted to prove himself. Wilson, as I said yesterday at the studio, we said it's important for the striker to score in first game. This will give him confidence, and happy for that to happen. Regarding Carroll, maybe some of us didn't expect that he will play to start in the lineup, but he in the preseason games we noticed him. He plays some games and score, I think, 2 or 3 goals. Maybe Mr. Steve Bruce think that he deserves opportunity to play as in start lineup. Darlow, I noticed also yesterday we were talking about Darlow, that he was did great job in filling Dubravka place, but for me maybe it just, I didn't think that he get tested enough. They were suffering. West Ham, I didn't agree with the people said he's not a good team. 2 months ago, I remember I saw a game against Chelsea. He beat Chelsea 3 goals. He's a strong team, but yesterday they were suffering in the middle field. I think because the 3 center midfielder. Also, Luis, as said, he did also get he play like before in Newcastle. One last point regarding Joelton. I believe I don't know exactly when he played yesterday. I tried to focus on him for a while. I didn't notice anything that special for him. Maybe Mr. Steve Bruce put him in the field to sell them, to give opportunity to the clubs to see him for selling them maybe later in this transfer window.
Yeah, Castagni scored for Leicester, so it's West Brom 0, Leicester 1, 56 minutes played in that game. Chris, come to you. Obviously, you were part of the team last night watching the game, and it was it was great to watch. There was a lot going on, but we talked a lot about the goalkeeping position at the start of the game, whether Gillespie should get the nod or Darlow. Darlow came in. He didn't do much wrong, did he, last night? He was quite comfortable on the ball, and Nathan's pointed out there was a couple of lapses in defence at times with probably not winning first headers. Lascelles quite guilty at times of not winning the ball with his head in the first half. Second half he improved, but Darlow did everything that was expected of him, pulled up a few decent saves and didn't make a mess of the easy saves.
Yeah, that was one of my main concerns because with Dubravka, he's not only makes great saves as a great keeper, but he really is that sort of backfield general, and he really is able to lead the troops from behind. And I don't know that that Darlow has that same sort of command as kind of like the on-field general. And then another thing I just wanted to point out is that we're used as Newcastle fans to be starting off the season against the top 6, and whether it's a London club or another one of the top 6. So to both get West Ham and then our second game against Brighton is somewhat of a more gentle start to the season than we've had in the past, and we really need to show that we can gain maximum points from the bottom third clubs, because we typically squander so many points from bottom 6, bottom half clubs, and then are looking for the top half clubs to poach a point. So in both respects, that we were able to start off with a win against a non-top 6 club, but also to show that we're not going to lay down and we mean business against clubs who we should beat or we should be competitive against. I think that we showed up. So in both respects, by the luck of the schedule and just who we're having to play in the bottom 6, bottom half, it was a good start.
Spenny Mag, our resident gambler, you had a good night last night?
I did, until I woke up this morning. Our lass was complaining because I woke the kids up when the second goal went in.
I hope you wake the kids up more often throughout the season.
She's gone shopping with winnings, hasn't she?
That's how to keep them happy. So yeah, obviously last night, great result. Newcastle obviously bossed the game. I felt. I mean, Steve Bruce said it wasn't a great game to watch. I had to disagree with him. I thought it was a good game from start to finish. It was end to end at times. Newcastle, if they took their chances in the first half, would have finished it a lot earlier, I think. But all in all, it was a good day at the office for Newcastle United.
Certainly was. I'm really happy with all the new signings. I think there's got to be credit to the coach, the scouting team, and Steve Bruce himself for bringing them in. Tell you the truth, because everyone looks a good player so far. I really was happy with Darlow in goal, because I had my reservations over the pre-season, what I was saying about it with him. I thought, oh, this is the weakest link, but he proved us wrong. I'm pleased about that.
Yeah, Anya's saying that she doesn't think we should get too excited. West Ham were August. I think you mean awful, but yeah, I get where you're coming from. But again, Newcastle have to be Newcastle have got to beat what's in front of them, and I don't think any of the panel's getting carried away. I just think essentially we're in a situation where we don't often win our first. New Year's where give us a little bit of joy before anything bad happens. That's what we're trying to say. We're trying to remain positive, aren't we?
I think the Tottenham game is going to be the one to see how far we are. You know what I mean? When we play Tottenham away.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Thing is, when we won games last season, though, we didn't look anywhere near as good as we did yesterday. Like, so we weren't playing. Even though we won games last season, we weren't playing good football at all. We actually played good football last night. So I say just enjoy it and see.
Like the opposite. Last season, you haven't won it. Last season, we were playing like West Ham did last night. We
goals, weren't
we did the opposite. So I'm pleased about that.
Last season, we didn't have any chances. Shots on target was low last season. Chances created was low every single game. Possession was low. So the fact that we turned that around yesterday, we can only build on that, can't we? So I say we just enjoy it while it's here, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree. Daryl Wheatley and Life Goals are both asking us all the same question. Tuesday night, Blackburn Rovers in the League Cup, 7:30 at St James's Park. Do we keep the same 11, or do you change it? Do you give a lot of players a run out on Tuesday? Do you give the likes of Ryan Fraser a chance? Do you give Gillespie a starting goal? Andre, what would you do?
I would say that Bruce needs to give a chance to the people who didn't play yesterday, because there were still many question marks on the starting 11. So Fraser hasn't played for Bournemouth since March, so it will be basically his first game for like half a year. Gillespie could have a run. I would like Gillespie to have a running goal. Also to have the Longstaff brothers back to see how they perform, because I think Sean Longstaff is in contention for a starting place to play behind the striker. Also Joelinton, it's a type of game for him where he can, I don't know, finally boost his confidence, do something, either lead the attack or play together with someone else up front. I prefer Bruce actually rests the key players, because I think that the Brighton game is very important in order to keep the momentum. Now, they started very brightly. By the way, Newcastle hasn't beaten Brighton for 3 years back in the Premiership, so I think that it's high time that this happened. And I really hope that to start with 2 consecutive wins in the league will be very, very positive. And in the meantime, the draw in the League Cup is very kind. At home to Blackburn and then away to Morecambe or Oldham. So it's a good chance for a nice little cup run. And I really hope that both they don't underestimate the game, and at the same time they give the lads who didn't play yesterday a chance to prove themselves. Starting with Fraser, I'm really looking.
Do you want to push on and try and win this cup, Andre? Because it's a cup which Newcastle don't seem to progress in. Obviously, the last time we were in the final was 1976. It's got to be the easiest cup to win, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a cup is a cup. I think that this is the biggest pain of many generations of Newcastle United fans, that none of them has seen the cup lift trophy during their lifetime. So I think it's the easiest one, and it gives you access to Europe, and it's still something to take pride at. And especially this year with the COVID and how compact the season is, I think that the top six clubs will not really focus on this one. Although we know that Man City won this trophy the past 3 seasons, I think that Newcastle have a good chance of doing a strong run for this cup. But they need to overcome Blackburn first.
Gary McAlpine saying, am I the only one hoping Leicester don't score again so we don't drop down to third place? Yeah, it does get you like that, even this early on. Yeah, Chris, from your perspective, League Cup, is it important?
Do you know what? I do think it's important. We've had years, haven't we? Under previous managers, Pardew, McLaren, etc., where we just constantly go out third, fourth rounds. So it was really nice having a cup run last year under Bruce. It just gives us that little bit of momentum. I think, obviously, we don't want too many fixtures. Don't get me wrong. Do I think we'll win a cup? Probably not. Obviously, you can still dream, and you hope so. I think it is important to have a cup run, whether it be the FA Cup or the League Cup, and I hope it gives us a chance to look at other players. Like, for example, I know you mentioned about resting certain players. I'd definitely rest Carroll. I wouldn't be playing Carroll, but I'd like to see Wilson still play. I'd like to see Fraser play, as Andre said. I'd like to give Gillespie a run, the Longstaffs, like you say. So yeah, it's an opportunity to give them a chance. So yeah, I personally, I hope we do get a bit of a cup run, and it gives us something else to cheer on, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, Martin. Well, I think we talked about this last night, but a cup run would be just the just the nucleus to build on for the league as well. Winning games, it's good, whether it's League Cup or whether it's FA Cup or whether it's Premier League. Getting that mentality of winning games is really important.
Yeah, I think I just put on the chat there. I think it's about consistency, Steve. So I think I would mix it up a bit, but I would bring Fraser, maybe give Wilson a half. The likes of Almiron and Joe Linton, kind of got their 10 and 15 minutes yesterday. I'd give them a run. Richie, the Longstaffs, I'd maybe put Kraft in there. So I would mix it up. At the end of the day, you do want that winning mentality, and I think any Newcastle fan wants to see us pick up a trophy. I think the only downside for me is if we do have a good cup run and you get to Wembley, if there's no fans there, it will be just like us to have a run and get there this year when there's no fans. But we'll take a win. But I think there's an opportunity. I think we've got a good, strong cup team, I believe, with some of the lads that haven't played, and there's an opportunity there. But we definitely need to be taking it seriously. I think if you're a club that doesn't take it seriously, then that to me is not the right mentality. So yeah, we should be going for it. Absolutely.
Chris, fancy a cup run this season, even if Newcastle can't get to Wembley, fans can't get to Wembley?
Oh yeah, I mean, it would just be Newcastle used to be known as a cup club, and to have our trophy cabinet there for all of our lifetimes is just something that we can't countenance. So yeah, I mean, I would like to see people like Sean Longstaff given more of a run. I think he showed a lot of promise 2 seasons ago, and then took somewhat of a backslide last year. I mean, he did have some cup goals, but would really like to see him do well, because I think having Longstaff as like a real number 10 is something that we could use in the first 11, because right now we we have a lot of players that could do a lot of different midfield formations or sort of attack formations, and we kind of don't quite know how to fit everyone in, and then we might have players who are surplus to requirements, but we can't offload them. Maybe just to give some of them like a bit of a shop window showing, so that some clubs will take them off of our hands would be great. For people like Atsu, I don't see any role for Atsu, and every time he comes on, it's kind of like, I feel like the sort of the air goes out of the club, or that he just doesn't have what it takes to perform at the Premier League level. So players like him, I would like to see maybe given a look and in terms of to ship him out. So hopefully that happens.
Al Walid, cup run this season would go down really well, I think, with everybody. I mean, we got to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup last year, which was an enjoyable run, although the exit to Man City wasn't as pleasant. But yeah, I mean, is it a cup competition that you tend to get coverage of in Saudi? Have you been able to follow the League Cup, or is it the FA Cup that's something which has been more prevalent in your country?
Maybe the beginning of maybe we didn't focus on the beginning of the cup, but when it started to become like 8 or 16 teams, maybe we get more interested in. For me, there is two ways to do this. Either you start with second full squad, or for me, I would go for 50% of the player who play yesterday plus another 50% like 5 or 6 new players who didn't play yesterday to play. You will give opportunity for there is good player on bench, they deserve to play and get on in the season, plus the 6 players who he chose from the squad yesterday. Also, it's good for them to practice more formula, more tactics together. So I would go for 50% of the player yesterday plus the 50% from the bench.
Okay, that's good points. Nathan, what about you? What would you do on Tuesday night? Would you make mass wholesale changes like some of the lads would, or would you just tinker with it a little bit and maybe keep the back four, as somebody's just suggested, keep the back four and the goalkeeper in place and give some of the other outfield players a chance?
Yeah, I think the back four look solid. We want to try and build on that. I think as long as we can do without getting into too many issues with injuries and that kind of thing. We've got a lot of midfielders that we need to sort of try and get into the team. Sean Longstaff needs more game time. He only got on yesterday. Matty Longstaff would be good to see him play as well. Andrej wrote in the chat there, Jakob Murphy was he had a really good season last season. Scored quite a lot of goals. So it'd be good to get, because he's used to playing against that sort of level of opposition. It'd be good to get him running the team in the cup, I would imagine. I think from what we saw yesterday, we might need to wrap St. Maximum in cotton wool a little bit this season, because he was getting hacked all over the place last night, wasn't he? I think that's the only way that teams can look to stop him, really, is just kick him out of the game, which they were trying to do last night. So it might be that we need to protect him a little bit as well. But we've got enough strength in depth for these early games to try and mess with the team a little bit. I would imagine. I think we've got to go for it this year. We've got to go for it in all the cups. I think we've got enough. From what I saw last night, certainly the way we played, I think we've got enough to be well safe this season. I would hope so anyway. So I think it makes sense to go for a cup run. I think last season was the first time in years that we've actually gone for it in the cup, and we did pretty well, didn't we? We got quite far. So I think what you want to try and breed is that winning mentality in the team. Winning's good for the team, no matter what. No matter it's League Cup, FA Cup. We want that winning mentality. We don't want to be seen as that team anymore that gets dumped out in the 3rd and 4th round against lower league opposition like we have done in previous seasons. So if we're serious now about sort of changing the way we play and becoming a real serious team to contend with, then it all starts by getting these games won, doesn't it? And going as far as we can. We want to be, even if we don't get to the final, even if we don't if we go out in the quarters or the semis, if we have a good run, we're always going to come up against those bigger teams towards the end of it. So what I want us to do is, when we do get that far in the cup, like we did last season, that game against Man City was just unforgivable, the way that we set up against Man City. We just set up to play for a draw, and we just let them come on to us for the entire game, and it wasn't enjoyable for anyone to watch, was it? But I think we're a bit better equipped now this season with the players we've brought in to give those teams a run for the money, and we'll catch them on the break and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think we need to set up when we do get to the bigger teams to actually go for it, because why not? And I think what you'll see this season is, with the really short break that we've had, these bigger teams aren't going to be prioritising these cups. The teams that are in Europe, the teams that are in the Champions League, they're going to be stretched this season. So they're going to be, it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool play the kids all the way through, like they did last season, in every single round. And I think that we can really take advantage of that, especially this season with where there's going to be a lot of injuries. There's going to be a lot of sort of fatigue-based injuries that teams are picking up. So why not go for it? Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree as well. Leicester have now gone 2-0 up. Jamie Vardy from the penalty spot. His 50th away goal. West Brom 0, Leicester 2. Spenny Mag, cup run. Obviously, it's something which we all enjoy, notably when we're at the game. Obviously, it's going to be a bit different this year with us all sitting at home willing the lads on. But, we've got a good chance, haven't we? Because obviously the draw's been done. I know Adam Armstrong's, someone's just mentioned there that he could come back to haunt us. He is still in form, banging the goals in. But, if we get through that, we've then got a potentially another easy draw. We could find ourselves in the quarter-final, before the end of autumn.
Definitely, Steve. I tell you what, I would love a cup run. But like looking at, I've just been talking to the lads there about it. Top 6, that's the only ones who win in the cups and the leagues, really, aren't they? You know what I mean? It's harder to win the cup than it is getting Europe, obviously. But like I said, I want Newcastle to win every game, so regardless if we play in the cup, we pre-season, all like that, it's me all over. Even, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yes, of course I do, mate. Yeah. Well, thanks to Trevor Arkle for becoming a member. If you want to become a member, just click on the memberships up at the top. And something I forgot to mention yesterday, we're now available on a couple of other areas, iTunes and Spotify. So if you're out and about and you've missed the YouTube broadcast, just click onto them. Again, they're free. Just click onto Spotify or iTunes and type in NUFC Matters if you want to hear the lads talking about Newcastle United. Let's take a couple of the comments that someone's had. Alan Thompson has put this question up. After these signings, which look good, will Ashley, after 13 years, build a team to compete? Or are we just getting deluded? And is it just a question of staying between 10th and 17th in the league? There's been a lot of money spent, Andre, over the last couple of weeks. I mean, since the Middlesbrough defeat, where we lost, of course, 5-1 behind closed doors. It seems to have triggered something, but there's a lot of rumours suggest that these players were, of course, on Amanda Staveley's list, and that Ashley has spent the money because he still feels that there's a deal, that the deal will be done, the takeover will go through at some point, and he's speculating to accumulate, but he's also very concerned about keeping the team in the Premier League, because if he doesn't, he'll not be able to sell the club for the same value. So I suppose what Alan's asking is, do you think we'll see maybe more players come in? Do you think there'll be a bit more business to happen? I mean, we've seen today. It seems likely, we'll not put the jinx on it, but Muto is in advanced talks to join La Liga side Eibar, so that could be another season-long loan, somebody else out of the door. Do you think we'll see more players coming in?
That's a tough question. There were several times when I thought that the leaf might be changing, might be turning in Newcastle. Like after finishing 5th with Pardew, I thought, okay, this is it. Ashley probably saw the potential of the club and he will spend big in the summer. And then the summer of 2012, they bought only Vernon and Anita, so it didn't materialize. Then the 14-15 season, when Ashley came in front of Sky Sports before the game against West Ham, and he said, I'll change my approach, I will change strategy. And then Newcastle beat West Ham. The summer of 15, he spent big. He gave McLaren the money. But still, things didn't work out. Ashley went back to his usual self. Now, this summer, I'm also, it's also different to the usual Ashley approach. We are all wondering what's happening. Is it, there are some theories that it's the Saudis' money, that there's a agreement in place that they'll be sharing the club's ownership, and many theories I came across. Honestly, and he was at the stadium yesterday. So what I hope will happen is that he can see that if he invests, there is a potential to make money out of the club in a profitable way. Also, when you win on the pitch, not only when you make a profit in the balance sheet. And I really hope that he's convinced that if you build a strong team, and let's hope that when the COVID is over and when fans are back in the stadium, he can see that, you can generate money with Champions League football, with European football. The money is getting higher the further you reach in the Premier League, in the European competitions. He knows the business model. He's a businessman. So I really hope that let's say after 13 years, and if no new ownership on the horizon, which I still hope for, let's hope that something will change and he can really go this way. I heard rumors that that Newcastle might not be done for the transfer window. I'm very curious what if this is true, because if the 35 million budget that we discussed is the one that is assigned for the summer, it's already spent. It's 20 million on Wilson and 15 million on Jamal Wilson. This is it. What we said, there are still 2 slots for loan, and these are not utilized yet. So I think that potentially we might get 2 loans in. Rob Holding is the name that has been mentioned the most. But in terms of overall strategy and Ashley's approach, I honestly don't think that anyone has the answer. I don't think that even if you ask Mike Ashley, I don't think that he will give you an answer today on what his vision for Newcastle is in terms of spending and targets and where he's aiming at.
Okay, good points. Chris Hall, your views?
Similar to Andre, really. I mean, to be honest, Steve, which I'm sure we all have, we've all got skin like rhinos now, haven't we? I in the past, I've always thought, oh, he's going to change his ways. And to be honest, I still can't get my head around the fact that, you know, he must see all these people who are interested in Newcastle. And, you know, I think he's lost a lot of fans and he'll never get them back. But I can never get my head around why he wouldn't just invest money, talk to the fans, and I'm not talking, you know, multi-millions. I mean, just so we can compete. And, you know, he could turn a lot of people around, and people would literally like think he's a god. You know, if he managed to get us back up where we were, and, you know, challenging and trying, and, you know, we've got such a great fan base. I've never understood him. I can't really understand it. I mean, it seems like he waits for things to get worse and worse and worse and worse, and then that's when he acts. And I think you're doing it all wrong. But it is what it is. I mean, I don't think he's going to change. I don't know why he was there yesterday, to be honest. I mean, you could come up with various reasons as to why he was. I'd like him to change, and it'd be nice, you know, if he kind of stayed on board with us and changed his ways and tried his best to make things work. But I always think there's normally a reason behind him doing what he does. So I don't think anything's going to change. I'm just hoping, you know, that something materialises in the next 6 to 12 months in terms of a takeover.
Yeah, Martin, it's Mike Ashley turning up at games when the fans were there, especially at home, was one of those things that used to annoy people. I think what's happened over the last week is, you know, it's been a bit weird, because on social media the fans have actually got behind Mike Ashley, haven't they? It's almost as if they've aligned themselves with Mike Ashley because he spent a little bit of money, because he's come out and spoken against the Premier League, whether that's true or whether it's not true. He seems keen to sell the club, and he wants to sell it to people who obviously can take the club to the next level. It's strange times, isn't it? After, you know, spending probably the last 10 years campaigning against him, the fans seem to be like, you know, with Ashley on certain things.
Yeah, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I think at the minute we need him and he needs us. You know, it's nice to see he's put the bit of investment in, but to me, you know, the back of my head says a leopard doesn't change its spots, and if he got the 300 mil, he'd be gone in a shot and he wouldn't give us a second thought. I think he's obviously protecting the asset. For me, what I wanted from Ashley, or what I want from Ashley for us as fans and as a club, is a regeneration of the club as a whole, not just the team. So it's about the stadium. It's about, you know, a decent looking kit every now and again. It's the basics for me, and I think he does enough at a time when he needs to protect his interest. But I don't think that it's in any way in his mind that it's for the fans' best interest. So that's the difference for me. The signings are great, and hey, listen, I'll take them all day long. But my view of Ashley hasn't changed and will never change. And when he's gone, I'll celebrate and we'll move on. So I think he's doing enough. I think he's doing the right things from a business perspective, as he would do with any of his retail chains. I don't think it would be any different if he was struggling down in Shirebrook House in his warehouses. He would do the same thing. So I think we're seeing just him do what he needs to do. And, you know, with regards to the rest of the stuff with the takeover and everything else, I think it'll all wash out in good time. But I don't think a leopard changes his spots.
Fair play. West Brom 0, Leicester 3. Jamie Vardy with the second penalty of the game. That one's all but done and dusted now with about 6 minutes left to play. Chris, Mike Ashley, are you as against him as Martin is really, and it's good to see Martin's still got that passion against Ashley. I think it's something which we've all got to be very careful of. I think Mike Ashley's somebody who, as he quite rightly says, the leopard doesn't change his spots, but he also doesn't lie straight in bed, as I think we've found out this week when he said that the Premier League rejected the deal when it's quite clear that they haven't. What's your view on the Mike Ashley scenario? Is it good that he's investing? Are you happy that he's investing in the playing squad, or do you think he's doing this for the team and the club, or do you think he's just doing it to protect the sale and the investment that he's expecting from PCP and PIF and the Rubens at some point?
I'm always skeptical of Mike Ashley's motives. I would say my hunch at this point is that he's trying to protect his investment because he knows that if Newcastle was in another relegation battle and they lost, that he would never see 200 million, let alone 300 million to finally sell his club. He desperately needs that 300 million. I mean, I remember a couple years ago when he was valuating his club around 400 million, and now COVID times he wants to get that liquidity to spend on the high street. So 300 million is that's the beginning and the end of his interest, and so it's the interest in Newcastle is only sort of on a secondary level as a way to keep the valuation and to keep that 300 million sale sort of in the front burner or the back burner. So I don't buy any of these things about people saying, oh well, he's not spending his money, he's spending consortium money, or he's spending money that he's going to get back from the eventual buyers. This is just pure and simple. He may not be a good football owner, but he's made some canny business decisions, and the way that he operates in the business world, I would just say he's just protecting the bottom line, which is his bottom line, and he couldn't care less what the fans think or whether they're saying, well, why are you spending money now when you could have spent money later, and why don't you give Rafa Benitez the budget that you've given Steve Bruce? That doesn't face him at all. I think with players, with managers like Rafa Benitez, he felt challenged, and he doesn't like to be challenged, and sort of it's his money, his way, and to have I don't believe that Steve Bruce is really going to him and saying, oh, can I have more money, or can I have this 20 million to spend on Wilson? I think it's sort of like, here's your budget, don't come to me for more. And the only thing that's a little bit surprising is giving these long-term contracts. So it's just sort of that's the most kind of Mike Ashley thing, to sort of be given 5-year extensions and players that we thought we were trying to get rid of, and then say, oh, how would you like 5 more years at the club? So I can't really explain that, but I'm not thinking that he's doing this in the handoff mode. He's sort of saying, I'm stuck with the club for probably this whole season, and the last thing I want to do is have a third relegation under my watch. As I understand before, in Newcastle's history, there were 4 relegations, and he's responsible for half of them. So he doesn't want to be the majority owner of Newcastle relegations, and I think that the Newcastle has been quite lucky to bounce back up at the first time of acting. So we don't want to even tempt another relegation, because you could get into like a Leeds type situation, or a Nottingham Forest. I mean, clubs that were sort of on our level before, and then we're in the wilderness and are in the wilderness in terms of Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I would agree. People asking about the Mike Ashley photograph that I put out yesterday. Yeah, it's from Wigan away in Mike's first season as our owner, when Mike used to drink in the bars and go on the away trips. And like everybody else, I got a photograph on my old Nokia phone, and people used to queue up at half time to get the photograph with the owner, me included, because we all had a great deal of faith in him. And yeah, I just stuck that out because, of course, you know, renowned journalist Luke Edwards had a pop at the Mike Ashley account yesterday before he blocked it, and he seemed to think it was me running it, which I can quite clearly state it is not me running it. I've got more to be doing in my life than running another account. I mean, people who follow Twitter on a regular basis will know that even I fell victim to one when someone set up Stove Wrath, which was absolutely hilarious. When you get something like that, you've just got to take it with a pinch of salt and laugh at it. And that's what I did. But yeah, Mike Ashley won. People asking who it is. I do know the people who run it. You know, I know who it is. I'm not friends of theirs. I just know who it is. And I know because somebody else told me, and it all adds up. I've seen their other accounts on Twitter. I'm not going to divulge who they are because I was told it in confidence. But, you know, I think they do a very good job. It's very funny. And certainly over the last couple of weeks, it's been very accurate. So I'm not going to say anything other than you would presume that they have a contact at the club. You know, so, you know, that's how they get some of their information. But anybody who wants to read about my stories with Mike Ashley, get Jamie Boyle's book. Get it on Amazon, Every Boy's Dream. Jamie Boyle wrote that. A couple of cracking stories in there about Mike Ashley. The couple of times that I've met him, I'm sure people will find them very funny. And there's obviously a lot in there about me fallout with Derek Lambias. So hopefully that draws a line onto it. I am not Money Mike Ashley. And please tell Luke Edwards, because I blocked him weeks ago, so I can't tell him myself. Al Walid, Mike Ashley. I'm of the mindset here, right, that I still feel after the ups and downs this week, I went from takeovers 100% to now it's not happening. Then after the fallout from the Premier League and then speaking to people on both sides, I'm just going to sit back and await developments. I know what I feel inside. I'm not going to start, filling people with false hope. But do you think Mike Ashley and the Saudis would do business away from the deal? Do you think there's a chance for his retail industries to flourish in Saudi Arabia? Do you think, there are, because Mike Ashley's obviously a businessman, he works with a lot of big high street names. Is there scope for development in Saudi for some of his brands?
I'm just guessing. This is not impossible to happen. I would say, like Chris said, I would start from where he's finished. The budget, the 35 million. I think this is the maximum he can give to provide to the club. I think it was just well spent. This 35 million, but actually, to be honest, it's not. If you want, as you said, you want to go for Newcastle for the next level. 35 million will not get you to the next level, unless if there is a huge teamwork from the players, to enter the first seven position. It's not impossible. It could happen if there is a huge teamwork. But we need maybe two super player to reach this level. Big chance to reach this level, next level.
Yeah. I tell you why I asked you about Mike Ashley. Putting money into Saudi. I have a feeling that as a part of the deal that Mike Ashley may have done some side deals with Saudi Arabia. I have a feeling that the reason that he wants this deal to go through so much is for two reasons. Is because he's never going to get this price again for the football club, and that's because COVID is having such a dramatic effect on football. But I feel that this is the only time that he will get the £330 million that he wants from this particular takeover consortium. But I also feel he's probably done some kind of deal with the Saudis to possibly, expand his empire across there. It's just a thought, but by the sounds of it, for what you've said, they wouldn't be adverse to that. You know what I mean? They would probably work with Mike Ashley because he is a good businessman.
Yeah. Yeah, I said it's not impossible. Yani, everything is possible to happen. Yesterday, I noticed when I saw his picture or live in the show, I think I don't know, he's maybe was a busy mind. I think his mind was elsewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe he wear the mask, but he looks sad for me. I don't know.
It would have
But,
been good to see Amanda Staveley sitting next to him, that's for certain.
Exactly.
Maybe that'll happen in another game. Socially distanced, of course. Daz is asking if there's any truth in Mike Ashley making you an offer for Starbucks.
No, that's a rumor.
You'll never live that down. Nathan, Mike Ashley out, something we've heard quite a lot, but it seems it's been so tantalisingly close over the summer to get Mike Ashley out. We've still got him. He spent some money. Has your opinion changed on Mike Ashley?
I think we need to not kid ourselves when it comes to Mike Ashley. There's only one person he cares about, and that's himself. I think in terms of his sort of business empire, we've always been the sort of bottom of the pile in terms of that. Like his sports directors is his baby, obviously, and then sort of in between that and us is all these sort of businesses that are kind of floundering that will pick up on the cheap and look to turn them around, like the House of Fraser Group and that kind of thing. So I think it's very telling that now he's so vocal and he's so engaged with the club all of a sudden. That must mean there is a huge amount of money, and we know that because of the agreed sale. But the fact that he's so vocal now in terms of the club and in terms of doing things for the club, that'll tell you all you need to know, that there's a massive vested interest therein for him. So his behaviour has always been very reactionary. Like in a few seasons ago, like when we were right down the bottom in January, he spent like 50 million or something getting players in for us, so, to get us out of that predicament that we're in, because he was protecting his investment. He's getting his house in order. Like when you're selling your house and you've got little bits wrong with your house, like little bbits of wallpaper coming off, you live with that day to day, don't you? But then when you've got estate agents coming around to value it, you get that stuff sorted out because you wanted to sell it. You wanted to present your asset in the best possible light. I think that alignment that we've got with him at the minute is purely down to the fact that the outcome that we want, as in him leaving the club, aligns with what he wants, is him leaving the club and him getting his money. The neglect of the club has spanned like 13 years. The deterioration of the club's assets in terms of like the stadium, the training ground, and the playing squad to a degree as well. That sort of neglect over that period of time has meant that the only way to improve those things now is to spend an inordinate amount of money to improve those things, because they all need improving in one go, rather than they could have been like improved and nurtured over time. But he's neglected them completely because it's not been an issue for him at all. It's not been on his radar. It's not been anything that he's actually worried about. I think Chris was right. He's had opportunities, but he's massively. I think he's got like a massively sort of like fragile ego. Because when Rafa was here, it was, that was his best opportunity to. If he ever wanted to improve this club, and if he ever wanted this club to go places, that was his best opportunity to do it when he had one of the world's best managers sitting in the hot seat. But it wouldn't surprise me at all that the reason why he didn't back him was entirely personal, entirely down to the fact that Rafa wasn't a manager, wasn't a yes man, wasn't a manager that's sit on his hands and not do anything about it. I think if you look at the managers that Ashley's furnished with the most amount of money, it was like McLaren, and then it's like Steve Bruce now as well. So like, I think even under Pardew, when we finished in the European places, that's when he could have really doubled down on a really good team that we had at that time. But he let that slip without a second thought. So I don't think we should kid ourselves and think that that he's bothered all of a sudden. He's bothered because he wants to get his money. I don't think anything he'll do will change my opinion, or I would hope to change most of our opinions on him, because he's driven by one thing and one thing only, and that's money.
Yeah, I agree. Martin's just put something in the chat about they were like two bulls locking horns, and that's a great way of describing it. And very accurate what you've said there, Nathan. You've more or less, comprehensively assessed the whole situation very well there, and I would agree with you wholeheartedly. Spenny Mag, last point to you before we finish the day. Mike Ashley, has your opinion changed on Mike, or do you still want him out of the club? You're on mute, Spenny. You're on mute. Hit the mute button. You've done well. You've gone 59 minutes.
Yeah, 59 minutes without it.
No. Anyway,
every show.
Anyway, no, I don't push him as far as Rome. That wouldn't be very far because he's a big lad. But you look at the signings he's made and the money he spent, it's only money he's accumulated. He got 17 million off the buyers, and he got 3 million off Tony. That's Wilson bought. Then he spent 15 million on Lewis, which he's obviously accumulated over the years, which he hasn't spent out of the club. Because he spent nothing, can he? Really, we got the rest on free transfers.
Yeah, it would be good, wouldn't it, to go through the books over the last 13 years and just work out exactly where we're at. I mean, I guarantee he's made a profit in, 75% of the windows.
I think I looked at something one time. I think he spent 35 million. That's how much was spent over the 13 years. And that's out the TV with a lot.
Yeah, frightening, really, isn't it? Frightening in this day and age. Well, the clock's beaten, well, lads. Absolutely great to have you on, as always. And we'll look forward to Tuesday night with Newcastle taking on Blackburn in the League Cup. I'm back tomorrow night, of course, as always, with Ladies' Night, which always kickstarts a little bit later, 7:30, with Sav, Sam, Katie and Kendall, and they'll be giving their views on what's happened over the last 24 hours at Newcastle, and obviously looking back on the game against West Ham and looking ahead to the game against Blackburn. But for now, lads, look forward to having you on again next week, and have a good week, and hopefully by the time we speak again next Sunday, we'll be looking at progression in the Cup and another 3 points in the league. Until then, lads, take care. Good night.
Okay.
See you guys.